Today we're doing a new segment called Are You Fucking Kidding Me? Where we pick random news stories and give our opinions. Rob and Dave are out sick. We're wishing them a speedy recovery. Sitting in with Jan is RobNDoe. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, RobNDoe, sports fan, movie fan, comic fan. Like to get the conversation with people and explore where we can get into things. So I'm here to help out.
Gentlemen, let's get this work. Our first topic tonight is Lil Xan and the TUPAC controversy. Jan, do you want to start?
So this Lil Xan thing all popped off from him being asked a question about Pac and him basically saying that Pac was boring, right? That's kind of where it started. He saying that Pac was boring. And this past week, I guess, he almost got jumped and he ended up calling the cops because motherfuckers was finna put hands on him for speaking on Pac. Like, and he don't realize, well, I mean, he realized it. He came back, he tried to clean it up and say Pac is a legend, Pac is a legend, but you can't speak on a legend like that. You know what I mean? And it's a generational thing. I get it. It's, you know what I mean? It's a gap, and these kids coming up nowadays don't understand the magnitude, the weight that Tupac's music held on a lot of our lives. You know what I mean? And when you look in the rap game right now, a lot of these young up-and-coming rappers don't have that respect for icons, the people that paid the way for them to even be doing what they're doing in the game. Any other genre of music you'll see, there's that respect, you know what I mean? Except for rappers. And so this is a friggin' example of it where they fuck it, you know what I mean? They pulled up on him like, what, say that shit you were saying about Pac? What was that about?
Yeah, and it's across the board with these guys. In the Xan situation, like you said, he gave his opinion.
Yep.
He's entitled to it, and that's how he feels. Not everybody's going to feel every artist, and I understand that. However, I mean, are you going to run into somebody that says, I just don't get Bob Marley? Probably, but you're probably going to look at him where most of us can identify with the music. Like certain, when you're an artist, the people that really paint the picture with music, that change the narrative of how you look at it, that through that lens. I mean, people use music to escape, to identify, to do all kinds of things with it. This new generation, I'm trying to give it a try, and I'm not against it. I mean, I'm hearing some artists. I do hear some young artists that are impressing me. I do like some of the sound, the quality that's coming out. However, there is also starting to become more of a repetitive.
Well, see, for me, going back to when I came up in rap music, motherfuckers would use the same beat, but it was their delivery and their style was different to where you could distinguish. You could say this cat's from the West Coast. You knew this cat was from down south. You could hear they went out of their way to be different. Now this generation is all about being the same. I can't differentiate a Lil Xan from a Lil Yachty to a Kodak. I don't, you know. And I'm not trying to hate. I'm trying to give them a chance. I got kids that listen to this shit, so I'm not trying to hate them.
Oh no.
But it's kind of tough for me to relate to them when, again, an icon, a Tupac. Tupac has sold more records than you probably ever will in your career. So for you, and Tupac has done this shit. And more content, exactly.
Like actual lyrical content, I mean.
Yes.
You can go, you talk about Pac in this situation, everybody knows the whole narrative of the hit 'em up, the Hail Marys, all the back end, but that catalog that he was building before that, when he had the Brenda's Got a Baby and the songs that were talking about the different issues. All I Want to Be Is a Soldier, when he's talking about basically the brothers growing up in the hood and one idolizing the other and doing anything to help him out, even though it was no good.
His content, his range, again, like you said, I mean, we can go through Pac's whole catalog. Pac could do shit for the niggas. He could do shit for the bitches. You know what I mean? He would do some hood shit, then he'd do some inspirational shit.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? There was nothing that Pac couldn't hit on.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm wondering, what about him? What about that is boring?
Hey, he was so boring. He was at Coachella after death. I mean, if you can show up at a concert after death because you're that good, I mean, or boring, either way you want to look at it. If that's the case, if he's boring, then why actually most of these guys pattern their energy, not their focus, but their energy after what some of Pac had in him. He like you said, he had different layers, so he wasn't always gung ho in your face, but he had a lot of that energy. His energy was forward.
So, what do you think about him walking back his comments about Tupac?
I gotta say something. The media twisted my words. I think Tupac is a legend. Tupac is definitely a legend.
I think when he got pressed, he panicked and he said the best thing that was going to save his career life and his longevity. I mean, if he still felt that way, I would have been more honored to just know that that's how he felt, and that's how he truly felt. I mean, there's certain things that you can't take away from certain artists in hip hop. There's a million people that have jumped in the game. There's probably an X amount that had #1 singles that you will never hear from again. So to talk about somebody again who had albums that were multi-platinum all on their own individually before he went to Death Row. And then him going to Death Row, me personally, even then, I appreciated a lot of the music because some of the West Coast artists he was paying homage to that people didn't recognize, the Sebos, the different people that were in the hip hop West Coast sound that weren't getting that overall recognition. Pac was actually he was a real West Coast unifier, definitely the most, just by his energy.
And so going back to what do I think about it? I find it funny. It's like it's two sides to this. I find it funny in that now he's walking off of it because he does realize, Pac, the influence that Pac still wields after death. That his fan base is still like, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. And so he walks back his comments. I think I would have had more respect if he had just stood behind what he said. Like, or you know what I mean? Even in the beginning, and they're young and they're learning, and hopefully his career lasts long enough to where he can learn in a situation like this how to either say no comment or, be more humble about, like Pac is an icon. Pac is a legend. You know what I mean? But instead of saying Pac is born, say, I just didn't feel him that much. If somebody was to come to me today and say Pac isn't one of their top 5 rappers ever, it would not upset me. I would not try to, I would try to debate him because that's what I do. That's what I like to do. But I would be open to that perspective that Pac may not be your top 5 rapper. Okay, I can dig that. But for you to say boring and just leave it there, and that's a lot about this generation. It's like completely disrespectful to the cats that paved the way for you. And then now all of a sudden when he realized that, like you said, he got pressed. As soon as he got pressed and they had him in that restaurant, his back's against the wall. Now it was, no, he's a legend. He's a legend. It's like, no, too late, bro. It's like, and then his rebuttal, the video where he puts out, I'm not a gangster rapper, I'm not a blah, 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 whatever he was saying.
But I am not a gang-banging rapper. Am I supposed to act hard? Am I supposed to not fuck with the police because I'm a rapper? Oh wait, I have to, huh? Because that's what cool rappers do, right? I gotta be cool to say fuck the police. That's cool, right? Yeah, there's certain cops. Fuck the police. There's a lot of good cops. And you know what? I didn't feel like taking on 20 people when I didn't have no security. So I don't know if you're saying, oh, he a pussy and not hard. I'm not a gang rapper. I don't rap about gang shit. I don't rap about selling drugs and shooting guns. So miss me with that, oh, he a pussy.
It's like, but you speaking on these motherfuckers, to them, that's what Pac was. Pac was Thug Nation. You speaking on Thug Nation. So if you not living that lifestyle, get the fuck out the way. Don't speak on something you obviously don't know shit about.
So if you're a backpack rapper, then I'm assuming that's what you would qualify yourself as, because you're not going to be hardcore for just the mainstream. So like, I mean, if you're going to terminology, whatever you underground, whatever you want to categorize yourself as, other than being in that genre, respect your brotherhood. You ain't got nothing to say on it. Just like you said, no comment, or I just don't have the type of information. I've never listened to him enough to really have a real opinion on what. Form a real opinion. Exactly. I would agree. I mean, that would have been fine enough. I mean, if you haven't listened to too much, if the only stuff you really heard is the repetitive radio play, the 6, 7, 8 songs you might hear in your different regions, areas that you go to. Okay, but I mean, do your research. Like you're saying about these young cats, do your research. I mean, learn why do you think your producers can come up with some of these beats? Because these guys actually probably paid homage to some of the guys that were coming before them, the DJ Quicks, the Eric Sermons, Dr. Dre's, the Daz, whoever, whoever that you want to name, West Coast, East Coast, down south. I mean, Pimp C. You can name all kinds of producers. David Banner made a whole song dedicated to the West Coast. So, I mean, again, with Xan, I think he learned his lesson. Unfortunately, will he be able to bounce back? I think don't say nothing else on it. If I was him, I would just like, the subject's dead. I already got pressed. I already told you what I thought.
See, for me, if Lil Xan was a rapper, when we were coming up on hip hop, he lost major stripes in my book. Hey, you know what I mean? A lot of the shit these motherfuckers saying about Pac, they would never have said that Pac was alive. Would not have spoken one bad word, because Pac would have hit him up. And not only would he have wrote a song about you, Pac would have been in your face about it. And these motherfuckers ain't built like that. So maybe you should stay out of that arena. But then the flip side of that is then the backpedal, I'm not a gang rapper, I'm not. But you speaking on these dudes, you know what I mean? You gotta expect these niggas, this is a lifestyle to a lot of motherfuckers, and they don't play that game. You know what I mean? And then what really disappoints me, the calling the cops part. That's the last. That's not even the last resort. That's not a resort. You don't resort to that. So now they're trying to justify it and it's cool. It's nah, bro. Like, again, I understand my opinion in his world may not matter, but.
And if he feels he has a clear conscience on that, then that's good for him. But I mean, like you said, his stripes. I think even in his own generation, because if you had kids your own age running up on you and pressing you, it wasn't us. It wasn't our generation. It wasn't somebody just underneath us who felt a certain kind of way about it. It was your own generation that felt a certain kind of way about it. So obviously, his roots run deep. I mean, you gotta know your lane and stay in it next time you're there.
Know your lane. You got that's your lane. Stay in it. Yeah. Don't cross over. If you're not ready to fight this fight, then stay the fuck out the field. This might not be for you. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's like Tekashi, same thing. Them little boys, don't get them.
Yeah, let's just call the pictures of them.
Yeah, I'm just because I don't know. I don't know him at all. I don't know.
Well, when he said it, I just was like, okay, he said it. People are mad, and I get it. People are going to be mad, but I didn't know that they were going to run up on him, and I didn't know it was going to be his own generation.
I didn't either. And it's people in his age range that would surprise me. You know what I mean? My boys listen to Pac. They can tell you about Pac, but I don't force it on them. You know what I mean? I want them to know. I just want them to be well-rounded as far as music goes. But when I first heard that he said he was born, I was like, okay, he probably just doing it for sales. You know, Pac is still that kind. He still can move the needle one way or the other, obviously. So for you to get your name out there a little bit more, let me go ahead and shit on Pac a little bit. Pac ain't here to say nothing to defend me, and especially when you was looking at Funk Master Flex. It's like that shit right there. It's like motherfuckers. It's all this shit after death shit.
But even now, that was weak because in them days you was riding with him. And if he wasn't, he wasn't riding with you off top. But the sad part is, when he did open his mouth, some East Coast dudes really pressed him on that. Tretch and a few other guys was in his neck. They was like, dude, who is you? Like, you done bumped it. So,
True.
You know, again, you're right. Especially when you're talking about, I mean, I guess we could all be indifferent to somebody who is passed, I guess, as far as an artist or somebody individually. I mean, we're removed from it enough to where honestly we'll just say whatever we feel about it. But I mean, there's fan bases that go behind all of these individuals that are passed, and I mean, and to talk about somebody's artwork like that afterwards was like
Z's tattooed on his face. Isn't that for like someone sleeping?
Oh man, I don't know.
But that's for the
Xan. I
don't know.
This whole game, like the game is like
because almost every little rapper I'm talking about, Trippie Redd, Tekashi, Triple X Extension, whatever. All of them got the little under the eye tattoos, which is Slum Guy.
Yeah. Like,
when did that become the new trend? Like, you guys, not only is the sound the same because you guys are using the same 3, 4, 5 producers, and that by definition, not that they don't change their catalog, but anybody, your ear will go through different phases. There's a certain time where you personally as a producer will be feeling a certain type of a drum line or a drum pattern, a particular like break that you want to use, but you can get 3, 4, 5 different versions of how they looped what part they wanted to loop out of it, and where they found their sound in that. And the rappers were distinct, like you said, like with like a lot of these rappers, even they sound is almost repetitive. And I'm not even saying it's that Migo stuff, it's just a repetitive sound.
It's a repetitive sound. But the flip side is, and I will say this, I like the new school beats. I like the new beats. It's like, man, if I could hear some of my favorite rappers from back in the day on some of these beats, man, my God. You know
I even think of some of the rappers I know that are out right now that like if they just were grimy like that, were taking people's beats and just dropping mixtapes just because they don't care, and they were gonna take your beat to show you what to do with it. I mean, Joyner Lucas really beat up that Gucci Gang remix. Like,
I agree.
And other people hit the beat, and other people gassed it.
Yeah.
He took that beat, but he had a purpose why he wanted to go in on that beat, and he served that beat.
We're transitioning into that. What did you think about that? Because I liked the song. I thought Joyner Lucas killed it.
Oh, yeah.
But again, along the Lil Xan line, and then he backpedals it. That song was a diss. You cannot tell me no way in hell that song was not a diss.
What's a little pump to a rocket flame?
Yes.
I mean,
No.
Like, so I mean,
bars, but he backs up off and says it's not a diss.
And again, like the beef thing, like when people got mad at Kendrick for saying the different things that stirred up different beefs, like he doesn't. What happened to the days of actually hip hop challenge? Like it didn't have to necessarily be real beat, but it was lyrical. It was lyrical. It was like, dude, even if I'm just saying my swagger's better than yours, you know what I mean? It was the point of I'm gonna be better than you in this right now, and I'm gonna show you why I'm better than this. It's the point of doing me, but I'm gonna pick up where you left off in a sense and try to keep that energy. Even if we're talking about pimping or whatever the subject matter, but you know what I feel about anything with that beat. Right. It could be totally different, but if I rocked it the right way and kept that energy moving, it could work. These guys, they don't have that.
You know, going back to that beef, and it's funny because I think about the NBA almost the same way that I think about this rap shit.
It's the same way it used to be.
It's like it's not like beef like Charles Barkley and fucking Shaq going
Those guys grew up.
Doug Christie, Rick Fox.
Oh, you want to know why? The AAU changed that. The reason being is that they will start getting special times. You're starting to play with the different teams, the better teams that are going to keep pushing you to that next level.
But they all become friends too. They play each other.
So now you guys are playing all summer long in different tournaments across the West Coast, East Coast, wherever your region is at. Right. And you're playing these kids 10, 15, 20 times a year. Yeah. Some of them you're even playing more than that because you're also maybe in the same district for high schools because they're plucking you because you're good. Right. And so you're playing against the top 20, 30 players every 2 to 3 nights, couple of weeks out of the year. Right. AAU, now all of a sudden, now there's the special AAU teams that's playing somewhere else. And again, you're together. So now you do 1 year in college, you all split up and went one direction. Yeah. But you're back in the NBA the next year.
And but that's my thinking with rap too. It's like it's the same thing. It's like, and it just hit me right now. It's all this age we live in, the digital age, where how access is like back in the day to do a track with an artist I really like. I had to fly out there, get in the studio with them, or they had to fly out here. We had to get in the studio and collaborate together. Mm-hmm. Now, in the digital age, you don't have to. It makes the world a lot smaller, and I'm wondering if that, you know what I mean, because does that decrease the competitiveness? Because, let's say, I'm over here, I do a rap, and I'm just rapping, whatever I'm rapping about, but I might say a line that young people might take as a diss. Back in the day, it wasn't easy as a tweet. Yo, bro, I wasn't talking about you like that. It was like, we had to really, like, set up a meeting and get together and be like, sit down, like, bro, it wasn't even like that. You know what I mean? I'm sorry you took it like that, blah, 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 blah. This is what I was trying to spit with it. Now it's like, it's got so condensed that there's no competitiveness anymore. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's like they're not competitive, so which is why you don't see, like, you see the Joyner Lucas shit back and all of it. It's like, because they all want to be friendly now. It's like,
well, it's like, well, we all can eat. And it's like, you all can eat, but at the same time, the competitive edge in which hip-hop came from, because it came from nothing. Yeah, exactly. It came from the street corner. It came from the street slang. It came from the roots of generations of, like you said, that hood talk, that hood mentality, and it manifested itself through its music, all doing the same thing. Everybody's talking about, like what Joyner said, he did hit him right when he was talking about everybody's talking about the Molly Perks doing all this other stuff. It's a repetitive cycle of
So
if everybody's juiced like this in the hood, then why are we struggling in the hood?
That's my point. He was so
understand.
right. Why back off of it?
Right.
Why don't these guys stand behind what they say? I mean, it goes back to that little. Oh, like I'm not mad at you for what you said about Pop. I feel like you're misinformed. You may be a little naive. Hell yeah, but I'm not mad at you about that. I'm just like, now don't try to backpedal when you see that there's motherfuckers putting your feet to the fire. Don't back off of it.
On Joyner, though, what throws me is that his other side beef with Logic.
Yeah.
So they did that track with Tech Nine, Sriracha.
Right.
And actually, out of everybody's verse on that beat, Tech Nine, one of the hottest, if not the hottest, I wouldn't say underground, but just independent label. Yeah. He's hotter than anybody out there. You can say what you want to. He's got legions.
Legit independent too.
Oh yeah, it's him.
Yeah.
And Joyner coming into the game, Logic, he's in there, but again, because of his style, lyrically savage. I mean, I think the kid is really good.
Yeah.
But on that track, he kind of mailed it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Joyner didn't like that, and that was his shot at him. So you guys have been playing bars back and forth lately, but you both are playing it low key again. Right. Like you said, like if it's beef, man, have fun with it. In a sense, have fun with it. I put your name on it.
So
you know
then,
what I mean?
okay,
like,
that's a good question. Then, do you think the Tupac Biggie beef was also maybe the pinnacle to where only beef that may have even came close to that, maybe the 50 Ja Rule beef? You know what I mean?
It actually, you know what? It did kind of. I remember that time frame. It did get a little tense because
it got close, but I mean, nobody.
It wasn't as grimy as that time in the '90s, just because. Again, hip hop. I wouldn't say it was in its infant stage, but I would still say it was in its youth. Because
it hasn't been around that long. You right about that.
Because if you think about it, I mean, you're talking about '90s, so you go hip hop touches down late '70s, and then it's really starting to surface early '80s. But you're talking about your Curtis Blow, Grandmaster Flash, things of that nature, the ground roots.
Yeah.
Then you start to get your next little wave of your LL Cool J's, Run DMCs, KRS-One start popping up, EPMDs. That next wave. Following them, you start to get that rise of that West Coast showing up, and the explosion of the South around the same time.
Yeah, West was starting to pop more, and the East. Not to say they were irrelevant, because the East will never be irrelevant when you're the founder.
They didn't have the same star power for a second. It kind of fell off. Honestly, until Biggie showed back or put his name in the hat. When he claimed King of New York, you notice there was no beef with that because he really represented New York.
And he was holding it down, and a lot of the East Coast rappers was behind that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah. And I mean, like there was different rappers in the game from the East Coast, but hot wise, I mean, again, it was lyrical content. Your production made differences, and
my thinking is just that 50 Ja Rule was kind of like the last real beef was that Soulja Boy Chris Brown beef that was a joke. I mean, I was really behind that. Like, get in the ring, young man, and box it up.
Oh, that would have been a splash, man.
And they didn't capitalize. And like, I'm not saying young black men resort to violence with each other. Would I prefer you to handle your violence in the ring than on the street shooting each other up? Hell yeah, I would prefer that.
Don't run up in the club shooting up people for no reason.
Live to fight another day.
Right, because I'm not saying every rapper hasn't touched that turf the way that they're saying on their mics, but at the same time, a lot of these guys are being the street reporters for that lifestyle, and so those around you have done more. So when you speak that, now all of a sudden you got to press that line. Somebody attacked your credibility. Now all of a sudden you feel that you got to show that you a shooter because you've said it in all your lyrics. And now you ran up into this club on video. Now you're on TMZ catching a charge for shooting. Or these kids really doing goofy stuff out there in the streets, trying to make a name for themselves at the same time, and then putting it in their lyrics. Young folks, listen. If you ain't learned from one rapper, his name is X-Rated. Go do your history I'm not saying the man did do it. I'm not saying the man didn't do it. But because of his lyrical content and the crimes that got associated with his name, the man disappeared off the face of the earth. A great lyrically.
Well, he disappeared off the face of the earth. He's still in prison, ain't he?
Well, he's still in prison, but I'm saying they put him away. He was not coming back. You know what I mean? And
Let's get into the 11-year-old boy who's being called courageous after he found illegal drugs in his dad's suitcase and called 911.
Now, Lawrence police are calling a young boy courageous for turning in his own father. This is what the 11-year-old found in his father's belongings: piles of heroin and fentanyl, a dangerous mix of drugs worth more than $8,500. The child knew not to touch it, and he then called police. Now police are looking for that dad, while the grandmother...
RobNDoe, you want to start?
Sure. First, I mean, obviously the father's occupational choices could be better. I'm not gonna say the man was doing a good deed. However, I just never believed in biting the hand that feeds you. I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with me, but my mom actually was a street pharmacist in her own right, and I never told once. It wasn't my job. It kept me fed. I mean, we ate, we did things off of that money. So my thought process is totally different. It's a snitching mentality. I hate to say that, but I mean, if we're gonna go to a snitching mentality, then I guess the police need to do the same thing, snitch on your own. But I mean, this kid is just wrong for telling on his dad for that one, because I mean, first you seen him do it, then you followed up by going and finding it because it was in a suitcase. So this means you went out of your way to go somewhere to locate it, to expose it to the police.
Here's the thing. This is the epitome of you're fucking kidding me, right? This story right here is the epitome. But it also, this is like the poster child for this generation. When I was young, my parents smoked weed. You could smell it. You knew what the fuck they was doing. But you didn't take your little ass and ask them what they was doing, because you get smacked in the back of your head and say, mind your fucking business.
Right.
I'm not justifying what the dad did for a living.
No.
If he fed his family and took care of them, cool. This motherfucker,
Wow.
I mean, straight snitched. Ain't no other way around it. This motherfucker snitched on him. Like, I'm not, again, man, okay, yeah, you know it's wrong, man, but tell grandma. You don't tell the police. Like, you called the police on your pops for feeding your... Listen, man, this gonna sound harsh as fuck, but I don't care. I am the asshole of this show. Rob and Dave ain't here, but I am the asshole, so allow me to be the asshole. I hope this little motherfucker, I hope he get thrown into a motherfucking orphanage, get adopted by a foster family, and the dad fucking sexually molests his bitch ass.
Jeez.
Fire shots.
Okay,
like,
this bitch ass motherfucker, man. I mean, I'm sorry, I know you're 11-year-old kid. Fuck it. I don't give a fuck. This little motherfucker, of all the things he could have done, he called it, again, not minding your business, going through your... He went through his pop's suitcase, so he had to be being nosy. Again, it goes back to our last story. The generations is way different on how we would handle shit.
Please, going into your parents' room, like that was a barrier. You hit that door, your feet stopped. Like you was Dracula, like you stopped at the door, like there was a barrier. I can't go past it. There's garlic in here.
Like you're a vampire, like you said.
Like I ain't coming in the top invited. Like those.
You gotta be invited in and go in that motherfucker.
Right, like
yes.
I mean, you would get knocked out for that one. I mean,
man. And so I'm looking at this, and I know that's harsh to say about these little kids, but. If that's not, it's sad because I'm trying to defend this asshole dad who was doing what he was doing and obviously wasn't smart enough to keep his shit a little more discreet.
Right. I mean, we're being the devil's advocate because people are looking at it and some will listen and be like, well, he was doing wrong. Damn right. Well, you're right. I'm not, again, we're not condoning the man's occupation. But if that's how he felt at this time, that he was able to provide for his family and eat and pay the bills to keep the electricity on and a roof over their head, who are you to judge that one? I mean, like that, especially as the child, you had no
But
power
see, this time,
to,
especially the power of social media, that's what we're doing right now is passing judgment.
Right.
And so these people, everyone feels like they can pass judgment. You know what I mean? Everybody has a voice and an opinion. But again, I just go back to how we came up. We're all raised. We were raised. I mean, this generation. I'm worried about this generation right now.
But they don't have a backbone anymore.
That is like your first instinct. Again, was it to go talk to pops? So I mean, I wouldn't have went to talk to my pops when I was little. I ain't gonna lie, but there would have been a different reason. My reasoning was because I knew I was in the wrong. I should not have been in my pop's shit. He was gonna kick my ass.
His business.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Stay the fuck out of it. It's like just know your place.
Right.
Now it's like these kids is like empowered to do what he called the fucking cops.
Oh, he did.
911 is their best friend. I mean, he called the fucking cops.
Oh, it's savage to think that it was easier to call the cops than it was to even tell your mom.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about the family home situation, but if mom and dad are both in the house, I mean, the girlfriend,
I think he ended up being raised by grandma. Grandma took over raising him right now, so that's my thinking. It's like, you couldn't bring grandma. I think dad is doing something wrong. Grandma would have gotten Pop's ass.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So nothing to try to help get him removed from the situation so you don't have to deal with it. I mean, but...
And the flip side, he was 11, you said? 11-year-old kid.
11, but I mean...
He know better. At 11, you know better.
Where was the love for your parent? Like... I mean, my parents, God bless them, they're not here anymore, but the point is that at that age as a child, they were gods to me. You know what I mean? Like they were everything to me. They were providers. They were my providers. They were my best friends. They were my worst enemies. They were everything to me. They were my universe. I think guys, especially young black men, have different relationships with the dads if they are around them and have them in there for the most part. There's this quiet, stoic relationship, kind of a hard line because we have to deal with hard situations. Right. So it's a different relationship than you would have with your mom, regardless. Because moms are they're gonna be stern too, because they're gonna give you, they understand what you're gonna go through, but they're also they're gonna try to love you in a different way most times.
See, another part of this is like we can't even use an argument that dad wasn't in his life. You know what I mean? You can't even use that as an argument. Fathers as a whole are in the household. They're being taken out for whatever reason it is, incarceration, just leaving multiple families, whatever the reason. There's a lot of instances where these kids grow up without their father figure in their life. This kid obviously had a father figure in his life. Right. And it's still just mind-blowing to me that he would call the cops, that he didn't see any other option. There was no other option, no resolution other than to call the police on my father because he's selling dope. Right.
Because, I mean, not that I was ever in that position, but growing up and actually being in a single-parent household and living with my father and during a certain point at that time, there was things that my dad had going on that weren't on the up and up. He wasn't doing anything dirty, but he was smoking his weed in the day and this, that, and the other. But I held him down. It wouldn't matter. Somebody could come to the door and ask something, and whether he told me to or not, I would cover for him because if he's not there, then who is for me? Right. That was my thing. Like that was you're my protection. You were my everything. I mean, it was kind of sidebar with what you were talking about with the Michael Vick thing last week. Is that if you grow up in an environment where that's normal, to those on the outside, of course that's abnormal. Right. Because you didn't grow up in an environment where dog fighting was normal. Right. I happen to have been in an environment where that was normal. Right. So when I heard that story, I wasn't
It don't affect you. Right.
Or I wasn't disturbed in the same mindset.
It wasn't a big deal to me. Some of these people.
And I'm not saying that you should be fighting dogs, but I grew up in an environment where I've seen that mentally I'd already been prepared to see those things. Right. And so back to it it's ironic how they do it.
I'm just real curious on what kind of environment this dude grew up in. What was it that where he felt justified to where he could call the police? I got to get more on this story because I'm not.
No, and I mean that's the point. I mean it's like how could you, if like I said, if that's my protector, if that was the person who I knew I could count on, that's my father, you know, I know he loves me. I mean, he takes care of me every day. So, because, I mean, obviously the products that he was moving were something that would, again.
I mean, we're not trying to defend the father.
No,
At no
no,
point
no,
am I trying to defend the father.
Had
and
he
I
got caught
probably
on this-
shouldn't come so hard on the little boy.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, God. Let me.
But, I mean, think about it in the context of had his dad been in the car with him and got caught transporting.
Right.
We'd be having a whole different conversation.
Right, agree.
And again, I could agree with those conversations there, but we're not having that conversation. We're saying the kid that took it upon himself to turn his father in.
Yeah. Without even any kind of conversation with his father or anything like that.
And I mean, yeah, what if he just came to his dad crying and just said, Dad, I don't want you to sell drugs no more. And what if it actually hit his dad in a way that made him really rethink his life choices?
Right.
You didn't even give him that opportunity. You didn't even. So, as a father, you were 11 years old, and your dad found a bag of weed in your dresser drawer, and all of a sudden you come home and you end up in a juvenile detention center.
Right.
You'd have been like, Dad, why didn't you talk to me first and maybe try to help me?
I was joking earlier, but still, end up getting molested or something like that.
No, I mean,
hooked on the shit his father was
like,
saying. It's like,
right.
I sound like an ass. I'll be that dude, but
No. And I mean, I get it. There's sometimes like you got to learn that lesson, and sometimes that lesson's gonna be ugly because you didn't look at it from a
you
perspective.
did, and that's at that age. They're not thinking about it. And it goes back to even like our previous discussion we was talking about with the Lil Xan rapper. They did.
Well,
they act without
the generation, the access to things. I mean, our generation used to have to go down on Friday nights, as was your normal thing. Go down to the local video store, your Blockbusters later. But you would go get your local VHS and your video game. That was how you got your social media, so to speak, in that time. Your movies, your video games. That was your networking. To where now everything is, like you said, is digital.
It's instant.
It's in your fingertips
something-
with your phone.
You want something, you go to Amazon, you order it, it's here in a couple days.
Right.
You can download shit, like it's in this digital age, it's right there.
It used to be dial-up internet, to where
let's take it a bit further back than that. Remember when you wanted that new, let's say you want that new bike, but your family don't make that kind of money to go out and just pick that motherfucker up. You have to put that shit on layaway. Well, motherfuckers was making payments to get that shit off. Nowadays, these kids don't understand that weight. They don't understand what. Nowadays, fucking new movie come out in the theaters. If we ain't had the money to go see it back then. Now these kids be like, let me just hop on Kodi. I can watch this shit right now. You know what I mean? It's like I can go and watch this. I can get online and there's other sites. I'm gonna cut Kodi out of it because I fuck with Kodi. So
right. He's like, I ain't trying to fuck with plug.
I ain't trying to fuck with plug.
But right, no, they hit up these. So like the access to anything is instant. It's super instant. Where the point of actually having to put into work to understand how the job's done.
You want to have a strong foundation in how to do things properly. So you can, if something were to fail, you know the correct way to do it, and then now apply those cheats, and you're just that much better.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But now these kids say it's
instant, and it's not understanding why. Again, he rushed to call without understanding the why.
The why. And in my world, I'm thinking either he had a big beef with his pops, or he just didn't care.
So
they don't care no more.
The irony would be is that grandma can't take care of him, and then he falls into the system. So now you fall into the system, and
then his
because something, because he goes through the grind. Now all of a sudden he comes out jaded on the other end. You
not realizing it was his actions that caused this.
And so now you go down your own dark path, end up in a privatized prison. That's all these things are circles, so that you were mad at
and he'll blame his dad.
You're mad at dad for selling dope when Big Farm is paying for you to live. But see, you need to be in there so Big Farm can still make their money. It goes hand in hand. Crack wasn't a problem as long as it was in the hood. Soon as it started moving to Beverly Hills and everywhere else, became a
It's a
problem.
problem. Now we got to come. Now it's the war on drugs.
Right. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
they create these issues, these perpetual wars, to have something to constantly combat and fight. It's how
a
to
war
make
on drugs is a war on porn. That has nothing to do with race. Like, people will get it misconstrued because the problem is that, again, now we need to fix the problem. Now it started reaching again those neighborhoods where they weren't used to seeing this.
Yep.
Now they might have been a closet pill popper and having their own other issues. I mean, if we're gonna have the dialogue about this kid sitting there telling on his dad about dope, I mean, if his dad was out here as a Budweiser delivery guy or was sitting there delivering alcohol for the local distributor, nobody's batting an eye.
shipping Newports.
But Jimmy walks in there and buys a liter of Jim Beam or whatever it is and kills himself. We're having different discussions. Yeah,
I honestly think they should just legalize everything. It's too
Oh,
many.
no,
It's too many restrictions on everything. You know
I
what
would
mean?
agree
They're
with
always
you in
trying
the
to
sense that the other countries have done that and the success rate is better than what we are doing. The war on drugs is a joke. It's a privatized prison system that's being sold to the public, that they don't realize that these people will build these prisons for 85% occupancy at all times, not at one time of the year, at all times. So now you're falsifying charges. I'm going to go back to this. It's a poor thing. If you're a poor minority, white, anybody, as long as you're under a certain demographic in the money column, you will fall prey to the system that it goes with it.
Right.
And they just want that continual circle. It's a farm system all the way around. Like, everything loops into one hand, washes the other all the way around in this circle. I mean,
it's all money. It's always going to be money in the street. And
right.
I mean,
to sit there and let me look up at the TV and let you sell me Viagra.
You
I
fix
may
one
die,
problem, but you create
or
like 10 others.
I'm gonna sit there and have anal leakage or something. You know what I mean? Like those are the side effects to cure acne. Like, I don't need these problems, and I mean, you'll perpetuate this and sell this on TV as a regular.
See, my thing is, again, I say legalize everything. The people that's going to kill themselves are going to kill themselves. You're going to find a way to kill yourself if you want to die. Whether it's alcohol poison, whether it's drug overdose, whatever it is, suicide, whatever, you are going to, it's going to happen.
Again, you legalize it, and I agree with you. Legalize it. But there's going to be that guy that wants to take that advantage of that. Oh, it's legal now. I'm going to be the best heroin dealer in the planet. And he's going to be that entrepreneur that just becomes that guy that creates that error to where it's the cool thing to do, and then that's why these conversations are being had everywhere else, and it's good to hear these conversations, because when you get the ball rolling, you realize that there's more in common than there's not. And there's going to be a lot of people that'll agree with how we feel about how this kid handled his father.
There's going to be a lot,
and there's going to be a lot that disagree.
But what I was saying about how the child dealt with it, and I'm just basically saying there has to be some type of repercussion that he should probably, he has to, maybe his way of living goes down. Maybe his father put him up in a real nice house and was buying him all the latest kicks and had him looking fly. Now, hopefully he don't get that lifestyle no more. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not trying to justify the pops, but just for this kid to realize there's repercussions to your actions. You know what I mean? You did this now. You know what I mean? You don't get to. Now you living with grandma. You eating top ramen for dinner now. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Sorry. You know what
I mean?
It's like maybe you learn how to deal with it better next time. And for the cops calling this dude courageous, if this dude's life end up a fucking mess, if he's fucking miserable somewhere, they're not gonna come back and say that, oh, thank you for being so courageous. Man. It's like they threw this dude under the bus.
I'll say this, kind of piggyback, separate but same. If the cop's going to call him courageous, that every real cop that understands that there's dirty ones out there, stand up, be courageous.
They're not, they're cowards. They're not going to stand up.
Because you're going to sit there and get at the hood for keeping that code of silence when you have that very same code of silence.
Exactly.
You can't fix the problem if you're holding the same grudge. Like, it doesn't work that way.
But that's the mind game they try to play.
Understand the struggle. This kid needs to pick that up. Lil Xan needs to pick that up. You young kids, don't fall into their mistakes, man. Learn from these lessons.
And the biggest thing to kind of like try to wrap it up is, it's all right for you young kids to have opinions. That's what we're saying. It's okay for you to have opinions. It's okay for you to voice your opinions. And we all do. But understand that, be knowledgeable what you're talking about.
Exactly.
But B, understand that for every action there is a reaction. There's repercussions for anything we do. Me saying that little dude should be molested, I'm sure some motherfuckers gonna get mad. I'll get some backlash on that. I accept that. Accept responsibility for your actions and what you say and do, and you push it from there.
Exactly.
So, shit.
But definitely know if you're gonna have an argument and have an opinion about it.
Yep.
Know the history of what you're talking about and get involved with it.
And don't call the cops when motherfuckers come trying to fucking press you about that shit. It's a hard line. Which side you want to be on?
Right.
RobNDoe is good, my brother.
Right.
Thank you.